What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video, and in this video we're going to talk about the hot topic of really yesterday, Kadarius Toney along with Kenny Golladay, and some of the things that transpired during the game just a couple of days ago, and whether or not the New York Giants are starting to slowly lose this locker room. Changed up the background, by the way, guys. A lot of you guys asked me to do it. Gave you the thumbnail look. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, let me know if I'm only going to live stream one game tomorrow, which you would prefer, the Eagles game or the Cowboys game. The Eagles play at 1 o'clock. The Cowboys play at 4:25 against the Chargers. Being that the Giants are up this week, I figured I would do a divisional rival game. Could do two, I doubt it. So if there's only one that I'm going to do, let me know which one you guys prefer. And of course, now the New York Giants are off to an 0-2 start. A lot of New York Giants fans are panicking because it's the same story over and over and over again. And I completely get it. I had them getting off to a 1-1 start. So the way I look at it is we're going to have to find a way to steal a game that I didn't see us winning before the year started if we expect to get to 9 wins. But I'm not even thinking about 9 wins before we get to 1. And next week, make no mistake about it, it is a must-win game. The New York Giants cannot start 0-3, especially when they have the Atlanta Falcons home. That is a game on Eli Manning Day that the Giants will have to find a way to win. Of course, we're all rooting for the teams from within our division to lose, but we have to do our part as well. But in this video, we're going to talk about Toney, and we're going to talk about Kenny Golladay and whether or not maybe Joe Judge is starting to lose a little bit of the grip of this locker room. Now, it's only been 2 weeks, and we all know that Golladay wants to get the football. He's the alpha on this team, and he probably is upset that he only had 38 yards and wasn't much of a factor in the first game, even though he did have 8 targets last game for the New York Giants. He was only able to hold 3 passes in. Kadarius Toney was the first-round pick for the New York Giants, and he's probably getting sick and tired of seeing all the memes on social media in which he only has 2 catches for -2 yards and has been used very sparingly for the New York Giants. And I think a lot of Giants fans going into the year expected Kadarius Toney to have a much bigger role, especially when we saw him used in the first 2 drives of the season. Haven't seen him used since, whether it be in kick returns, use him in the backfield, do something. You have to find a way to get this guy involved in the offense, and we'll see with the 10-day layover whether or not Joe Judge will look to get him more involved in this offense. And when you see Darius Slayton dropping the balls like he has, he had 2 drops in the first game, and maybe it didn't get credited his drops, but he had 2 drops as far as I'm concerned in the first game, and he had the huge drop that, yes, it was a challenging catch, but you have to find a way to hold that in, and if he did, the New York Giants go on to win that football game. And I think Giants fans look at this, not to mention the drop in the preseason game against the Patriots, and they say, well, let's get Kadarius Toney out there. He was a sure-handed receiver in college. We spent a first-round pick on him. Let's see what we got. And when you're a first-round draft pick, yeah, fans and the player himself expects to make an immediate impact, but he can't make an immediate impact unless he's on the football field. But let's jump into some of the things that I want to talk about. This is about Kenny Golladay. This is Daniel Jones on the situation. Of course, there was a video on the sideline in which Kenny Golladay looked visibly very pissed off on the sideline. Now, when I watched back that video, to me, it looked like Golladay was yelling at Garrett, and it looked as if Jones stepped in. The headline was that he was yelling at Jones. Jones went on to talk about it. Of course, these players aren't going to relay all the information. They don't want anything to spiral out of control, but this is what Daniel Jones had to say. He was frustrated with the situation, Jones said afterward. I don't think it was to me or anyone in particular. I do think it was about Jason Garrett. Now, it may not have been yelling at Garrett in terms of saying that he's doing a horrible job. He may have just been like, listen, I need the ball. I want to get the ball. Make sure you're drawing up plays to get me the ball. That was a critical point in the game. Of course, I think that was the drive where he threw the incomplete pass to Darius Slayton on the right sideline on the 3rd down play, and maybe Golladay felt like the ball should have been thrown his way. That's the way I looked at it. Next up, this. I'll say again, he wasn't showing me up individually, Jones said. So part of the game, like I said, he's emotional. He wants to win. We all do. I respect that. Part of Galladay's anger appeared to come from his desire to want the ball more. He had only 1 target in the 4th quarter on Thursday and was covered tightly on it. Yeah, I think that is part of it, Jones said. You certainly want the receivers that want the ball. We'll keep working through it. Got these quotes off of GiantsWire.com. And we knew there was not going to be much chemistry there, so I'm not shocked that Galladay's not off to the hottest of starts. Golladay even came out and said to expect a rusty start, and it's not like the New York Giants didn't make an effort to try to get him the ball. They did draw up pass interference near the end zone when they threw it to him. Like I said, he did have 8 targets, and Golladay needs to find a way to get open and make some plays. We know he's not the best route runner. We know he's going to make contested catches, maybe the Giants need to try to do it a little bit more, but he's going to throw to who's open. And I think because Galladay's been on the field, Sterling Shepard has benefited from more targets, being that maybe he's getting looser coverage. He had 9 catches in the football game, but Golladay wants to be the guy, and I could appreciate that. This then coming out here, I think you guys have that all mixed up, Shepard said when talking about Golladay. It was just heated in the situation. We needed some big plays, and he was heated at the situation. We all love each other. That is what happens in the game when your emotions get into it. You say what you have to say and you move on. We all love each other. And we dap it up at the end of the day and give each other a hug and keep on pushing. And you have to hope that is the case. And I fully believe that Sterling Shepard's that type of player. Kenny Galladay's new here, and you knew something like this is going to draw headlines. I don't really read too much into this. I know some fans are going to look at this and be like, is Joe Judge losing the locker room? When it comes to this, I don't really think so. I think he's just an emotional wide receiver trying to make a big play in a football game to help his team win. Now, let's jump further into some of the quotes here. This coming out from Joe Judge. In terms of trying to gauge somebody's emotion, I judge them based on their actions. And I've seen a guy that comes to practice every day and the meetings and has been attentive, Judge said. He's worked hard on the field. He's going to continue to improve as a player and build himself in an intricate part of our offense. Now, Judge, of course, is going to say the politically correct thing. I'm sure him and Golladay probably had a conversation privately talking, further about this. I talked to the players, I talked to the coaches that were involved, and everyone has kind of dismissed everything in terms of there was no conflict, Judge said. It was more just emotions on the sideline, talking through situations. Our guys have good relationships. They work together. I don't really see any issue with that right there. And let's hope that's the case. If the New York Giants continue to lose football games, this will become more and more of a story of whether or not Joe Judge is losing the locker room. And one thing I will say, this team, at least coming out through 2 games, is not nearly as disciplined as the team last year. Last year, they only had 81 penalties in 16 games. So far, in just 2 games, they've had 15 penalties, which is a much higher rate. It's about 50% more penalties per game, and that is definitely something that needs to subside. That is something that could cost the New York Giants football games throughout the year if they don't start to bottle that up. We know we don't have the most talented team in the league. We cannot beat ourselves, and that seems to be at least part of the problem through 2 weeks this year. Now, this about Kadarius Toney. This was part of his inner circle that talked to NJ Advanced Media. This was not a quote from Toney himself. Got this off GiantsWire.com as well. No use in having a sports car and not driving it, a person close to Toney told NJ Advanced Media. Asked about Toney's frustrations and his post-game social media post, Giants head coach Joe Judge dismissed the entire thing. He also dismissed wide receiver Kenny Galladay's tense exchange with quarterback Daniel Jones. No, I haven't seen anything on Instagram yet. Senior Vice President of Communications Pat Hanlon briefly explained something to me. I don't know what it's in reference to. Look, I'll talk to all our players, Judge told reporters on Friday. It was more just emotions on the sideline, talking through situations, things we're going through. Our guys have good relationships. They work together. I don't really see any issue, so I kind of just read that quote earlier, but this was just further detail about Kadarius Toney individually. This was a tweet coming out from Kadarius Toney going after the media. Y'all try to turn anything into something. Shaking my head, we good over here. And I think we could all see where Kadarius Toney's coming from. I mean, I've been one to be outspoken about that the media looks for clickbait stories and they try to make villains out of players or coaches or draw up drama. But at the end of the day, if you're a player for the New York Giants, you probably don't want to go after the media. It's probably not in your best interest, especially a rookie wide receiver who's never stepped foot on the football field. But obviously, I do understand his frustrations. This then coming out here, this from Pat Leonard, everybody's favorite. Kadarius Toney calls the media clowns on Instagram. So, continuing to have some drama here with Toney, not good stuff. This then coming out from Zach Rosenblatt. Kadarius Toney posted this to Instagram. He was visibly upset at one point on the sideline in the second half after speaking with Joe Judge. Nothing at a Golladay Jones level, but clearly wasn't happy. And the Instagram read this: I don't be mad, blank just be lame to me for real. In reference to, I guess, his playing time with the New York Giants. Then this: we just have to trust the process of the organization, and I'm not wavering from that, Dana Toney said. Dana Toney is his father. None of that other stuff is true. We enjoyed ourselves at Meadowlands last Sunday, and I look forward to coming back. The Giants were beautiful towards us. Our team is going to be good. So, Judge, of course, expressing confidence. He's the head coach. That's his job. His father coming out and saying everything is fine, but Is everything really fine? Well, that remains to be seen. Here's what I'm going to say. If we win, winning cures all. The players will be happy. Just like Judge, just like Gettleman, these players' jobs are on the line. There's a lot of pressure for them as well. Kadarius Toney knows he's a first-round pick and he has to deliver, but he can't deliver if he doesn't get out on the football field. Am I surprised that he's had a limited role to start the year? Not really. I just didn't think it would be this limited. I didn't think he would come out and get a full role to start the year, being that he barely played in preseason. He was hurt throughout preseason. He was sick throughout preseason, so he didn't get much of a rapport with Daniel Jones, but I still thought that he'd be a little bit more involved. I thought he'd at least be returning kicks, and I hope as a fan of the New York Giants that they at least start to use him a little bit in specials, whether that be punt return, whether that be kick return. We know he's an explosive player, and we need to at least get him some targets on the football field. You need to find a way to get Kadarius Toney involved in this offense. Yes, it was encouraging to see what the New York Giants were able to do on offense, putting up 29 points against the Washington football team, but I think we all agree that we could use another boost to this offense. And hopefully Saquon Barkley gets back completely healthy this week, and maybe we'll start to see vintage Saquon. But Kadarius Toney being on the football field certainly wouldn't hurt. As far as Toney goes, he's a rookie. He's got to grow up a little bit. You can't go on social media and do that. It's not very professional. I understand that you're frustrated, but that's something, at least in my opinion, that maybe you should vent from within house. Being that you're not even a veteran of the football team, you haven't even been in the NFL. Kenny Golladay, it sounds to me and it looked to me that was more directed towards Jason Garrett than Daniel Jones, and it looked as if it was just a player that was frustrated that he wasn't getting the football. I don't think Kenny Galladay's coming out, bashing his quarterback, trying to show up Daniel Jones. I didn't really see that in that exchange. It sounds like Joe Judge was confident in that as well. Listen, does it make me uber confident that things like this are coming out? No, but if we win against the Atlanta Falcons, well, forget about this. If the New York Giants have a bomb of a season, you're going to see more and more stories like this because there's going to be turmoil. When you're 0-6, 0-7, it's not as fun to come to work as when you're winning. And I think it's the same thing for the fans. I think the fans are upset. I think the fans are pissed off. So when they see reasons to draw, frustration and say, well, that's the reason, they're going to jump on it. Bottom line is the New York Giants have got to get some of the pressure off their back, and in about a week, they're going to have to beat the Atlanta Falcons. They don't win that game, this game could go to hell real fast. As positive as I am about Daniel Jones' performance, we need to see that continue to progress because we need to get something out of this season, and hopefully the New York Giants get that win, and then we got 3 pressure-filled games coming up in which, if they do beat Atlanta, I think they need to find a way to at least win one between the game at Dallas, at New Orleans, and home against the Rams, and it will be a tough task, but it's one game at a time, and we have to take down Atlanta before we even start to look towards that. Hopefully, Joe Judge has this team much more prepared, not just next week, but going forward, because it's clearly evident that this team through 2 weeks has not been disciplined, they've been out game planned, and quite frankly, they've been out coached. Get Kadarius Toney on the football field, get him involved, and hopefully Kenny Golladay could start making plays for this football team. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.